I couldn't. I couldn't.
I could.
I'm suffering fear, Kamala fear. I, I couldn't. God help us if she's our president. I mean, for crying out loud. I'm uh, I'm suffering fear. We could be unburdened by the things that preceded us,
Yeah, I know.
unburdened by our past.
Did you just fall out of a coconut tree? I think she's gonna win.
uh,
I mean,
I gotta
it seems like,
check my travel guide to see where I'm going to move them.
yeah, I don't know. I've been a lot of places that I don't think there's a better place to be. Where would you go?
Well, the obvious choice is either Canada or Mexico, but those are worse than this,
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
or at least they are today. After her, who knows? These price controls, 25,000 first time home buyer assistance. I've been in real estate my whole life. And what will happen is the price of the house will go up 25,000. That's just my opinion
Yeah,
from experience.
we shall see. It's getting interesting out there, the political. I thought there would be more AI kind of shenanigans with the presidential race, and I haven't seen that was one prediction that I mean, I felt like a year ago, everybody was really concerned with AI and the next presidential race. Before that, even 2016, it was like social media, right? Facebook was the big concern. That's what started all after Trump won. Facebook basically came out and said that he won because of disinformation and that we need to crack down on disinformation. And that started a huge wave of censorship that kind of primarily affected conservative voices more than liberals. Uh, and then in 2020, it was kind of the same thing. Like there was a lot of social media shenanigans, I guess you could say. Hunter Biden laptop story was covered up. There was a lot of other stories and articles and reporting that were showing how internal emails from the White House, they were like basically people inside Twitter were being told by the administration to like take down certain tweets and Twitter was complying. And then in 2024, or I guess like the last year, really since Chat GPT came out, all I've been hearing is the reporting about how they're so concerned about deepfakes and the election, right? Like how is AI going to affect the election with video and audio being able to be manufactured so easily? That was a huge concern. I haven't seen any major things. The only big one was the video that Elon released that was like a satire video of Kamala, and it was like an AI generated thing. Did you guys see that?
Well, there was the one video, which were actual news feeds of all I remember is the plain tarmac and the Dems accused the Republicans of using I think she called it a deep, it was a deep fake, but it turns out it wasn't. It was really, oh, it was Biden walking off to greet the guy who just landed in a parachute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they called that a deep fake. Or she used a different term. I can't think of what it was. It turns out it wasn't. And what I was worried about, Matt, is the AI role in the sort of robot world taking over. And I think that's where a lot of people's fear was, is that the brain of a artificial intelligent creature could outthink a human and take over. And that's where Elon and that guy, was it Sergey Brin or somebody else, was warning that we should tap the brakes.
Yeah, I think that's something personally, I think that's something we should be worried about. That seems more of a problem. Like we're going to talk about today. I guess I'll just go over the topics real quick. The main stories we have today are the new launch of a humanoid robot that has been prepared for mass production, created by Unitree. Unitree is a robotics company, and basically they made a mass producible robot, humanoid robot, has 3 fingers, all of the joints. It can run up and down stairs, jump. It can't do household tasks like washing dishes, which is that's like the new like standard. It's funny, you read any of these articles, like the only thing people want to know is like, when can these robots clean my kitchen? Like that's basically the entire, that's like the gold, but it's actually serious. Like that's the gold standard. You know, if you can get this robot to mop and clean and do some dishes, God forbid even cook. I mean, I'm laughing as I say that because it's kind of funny that we have these like AI. We think of them as like super evil robots or something that are going to take over the entire world and enslave us militarily. But like, we're just over here like, have they been able to load the dishwasher yet? You know, it's like, that's the pinnacle. That seems like it's actually the pinnacle of, or that's the singularity that they're shooting for. So they haven't got there yet, but this is a major step in that direction. Because this new robot that they released, which is priced at $16,000, is actually going to be not you and I aren't going to have much of a use for this robot. But the people who will have a use for this robot are colleges, universities, programs that have intensive study students that can program these, and maybe they can then teach it how to do dishes for us and stuff. But this is a big step forward. I have a feeling this is going to be like one of those exponential increases. Elon has said in the next 3 years, he expects everyone to have a humanoid robot in their house. For that to happen, we'd need to see some exponential increases in advancements, but this is a huge step in that direction. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We've talked a lot about it. I always love showing the videos of these things because I don't know when the last time I can remember a new like big device that came out. You know, I feel like I was, you know, if you look at like inventions in the past, all right, this might sound really stupid, but like, you know, we used to like, I imagine we went from, you know, washing machines, big thing, electric appliance that you put in your house, right? That was a huge deal. Refrigerators, huge deal. Dishwashers, huge deal. You know, to some degree, even like ovens and
In an
microwaves
office setting, Matt,
and
the,
cars. And
I,
now
I'm old enough to remember before a copy machine. And my secretary used to have a piece of carbon paper between 2 pieces of paper. And she would use this typewriter that she'd have to be really good at. Because if you made a typo, then you not only had to correct the front page, but you had to correct the carbon copy page. So the copy machine was the big revolutionary change. And then the next seismic shift was the fax machine, where you could actually send a letter to somebody immediately. And used to get the paper that was that heat sensitive paper that turned into a roll. And if you waited too long, the print would sort of fade off of it after a week or two. So the copy machine and the fax machine seismic.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe the robot's the next.
Yeah. And I mean, and cars have been kind of the same, you know, I mean, we just got electric cars. Those are like, to me, those are a huge difference functionally. When you get in a Tesla, it feels like, I've said this before, it felt when I got in a Tesla for the first time and it was like switching lanes for me at 75 miles an hour on the freeway, it felt like the first time I used an iPhone after using like a flip phone or something. Like it was like, oh, this is like a huge difference. But functionally, an electric car still looks like a car. You know, we haven't had like a new big object, and you know, let alone a
Well,
humanoid
you
look.
would have loved our Rotary lunch last Thursday. We
Huh?
had this guy named Tim Jackson who he's the Automotive Dealer Association CEO for something like 30 years or more. And he took us through the history of transportation. And at the end, he gave about 10 or 12 slides of what newfangled vehicles are going to look like. And they're already in production and they're already working. And they sort of look like, Elroy Jetsons. They have wings
Hover
and they've got
cars?
rotors. And
Hover cars, really?
there were 10 different iterations of
That's
these
kind of
new
what I was
vehicles.
promised
Yeah.
when I was growing up. It seemed like I was promised, like, oh, we're gonna have, pretty soon there's gonna be hover cars flying around. We've kind of been stuck with cars for a while. So seeing a
He
new,
calls them zero takeoff or something like that, like a helicopter. Doesn't
what?
need a runway to take off. It just goes up, and cars are going to be like that.
Wait, I gotta see a picture of this. What? How can I look? How can I find a picture? Car.
Well, maybe you could talk to Louise and get a recording of it
Hmm.
because his speech was, I'm sure they recorded those speeches.
Yeah, future of.
Mark's not nodding his head no.
What was his name?
Tim Jackson.
You from Denver?
Yep.
That sounds interesting.
Good guy. Wears cowboy boots. He's a
He's
good
written
old
a
boy.
book. He's written a book, Matt, about the history of transportation. So you'll be able to find his book, and that has a lot of the examples that Stu's talking about. They're vertical takeoff and landings. So it's VTOL.
VTOLs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I found his book. I found him. Wow, that sounds like a really interesting talk. I wish I.
It was. It was good.
So is he
Yep.
saying that they have a time frame for these? Are we going to be able to, or is this just like
No, they're under
3 years.
production and in
3 years?
manufacturing now.
What?
3 years. Yep.
Of like a hover car, basically, of something that can. Wow.
A VTOL,
Mm-hmm.
VTOL.
vertical takeoff and land.
Huh. Yeah, I gotta find it. Oh, see, but that's cool. Like that's what I want to be seeing. That's what I kind of expected from the future, and I feel like we haven't had too many future. I mean, AI is amazing, but it's still kind of contained in a computer. We haven't seen
Right.
like new objects. So these humanoid robots, I mean, it's hard to and who knows what'll happen. Maybe we'll never really adopt them. Maybe they can never develop the dexterity needed to, use
Do
the
the
sponge
dishes.
and clean your dishes or whatever. But I see all these YouTube videos because I follow all these pages, the robotics companies, and it's like you see these things, and these are like 5'5" robots that could just be walking around our houses and walking around, you could just see them everywhere. And then it's going to be like, okay, what are the laws going to be like? Are they going to be allowed to like go outside, mow the lawn? Like, what if you saw something like that mowing your lawn? Would you even, I don't know. It would probably have a lawnmower built into it. But the humanoid robot, like I don't think I'm personally ready. It's hard to imagine what society, like, can you imagine what society would look like if you go into somebody's house and there's like a human, like a C3PO Tesla brand, like human robot that like serves you a like glass of champagne or something?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm having trouble with the utilitarian aspect of it. My dishwasher does a really good job, and there's a commercial on TV where you can put a dirty dish in your dishwasher and use this special dishwasher soap. I think it's Cascade that'll clean off, dried on food. So you don't need a sponge. You already got the robot and it's built into your counter. What else are they going to do? I mean, really, what?
That people are gonna fall in love. I think people are gonna be really, we're gonna have a problem with people falling in love with robots. Maybe not a problem, maybe it's actually a really good thing. I don't know. But that's gonna be something that needs to be.
You know, maybe for companionship or
Because think
something
about
like
it, this thing can talk. Like I said, I've told you guys, if you haven't, please use ChatGPT voice mode, which is like where they really sound like a human. Have any of you tried that?
that. I haven't.
Like where it completely sounds like a person and you can just freely talk to it and it will freely talk back. And like you can choose the voice you want. It sounds like Scarlett Johansson from the movie Her. They got into a whole lawsuit about that because they literally based it off that. But that was actually really cool. But if you think about this robot who can cook, clean, potentially have sex with you, like Chinese robots there's already sex robots. You add that dynamic, cook, clean, listen to you at any time. There's an off button. Just kidding. That's serious. Like I think that women and men are going to be in some serious trouble. From both sides. A man wants different things than a woman might want, but a woman might want protection. This thing could be your bodyguard. I don't know. Safety, and it's like 16 grand or something. It's 25 grand, or you get the premium one for 100 grand.
So Matt, show us what you've been seeing.
Okay, yeah. Here, hold on. Let me
Matt, there's a certain segment of the population that thinks that we should slow down reproduction. That we're having too many children and we need to shrink our population instead of grow. And this falls right into that category. What you were just saying, if there's a sex machine.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Every time I put a YouTube video on Zoom, sometimes it like takes my recording down, but whatever. We'll see. Let me know if it stops. Sometimes there's like a copyright thing with YouTube, and I don't know which ones. Sometimes you can share a video on YouTube, but sometimes you can't. So we'll see. So this is the new, this is from Unitree. This is their YouTube page. This is their G1 humanoid agent AI avatar, priced starting at 16K. See how small that was? Whoa. I thought he was way bigger. Look at that. He's like half.
No, he's 4 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She.
Yeah.
That's tiny. That's like a little like chimpanzee. That actually is, I think that's probably a better size. I would rather have my robot be like half the size of me than towering over me, like 6'8", like a LeBron James size. Sorry, I didn't know. That was...
Oh, wow.
I thought that was an egg.
So what do you guys think? I think we're way closer. I think Elon's
Wow.
for watching that video again. I think we might be 3 years away.
Yeah.
Because you only have to create one. That's the cool part. I mean, the cool part and maybe scary part. You think about all the colleges and all the robotics and all the computer science programs and all the most brilliant people at Yale and Harvard and Stanford. And just one needs to be created well enough to package into a product to sell because it's all software. And so that's
interesting. The ad that you showed us is focused way more on how agile it is and like the joint motors and all of the different features that it has, and not on any of the intelligence part.
yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, what I'm watching for is something like a robotic caregiver that you could assign to patients with dementia.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to advertise I think one, it's cooler. It makes for a better YouTube video when you see
Probably.
couch like doing like the full splits and like yoga poses. But yeah, and I think it's also not nearly as impressive what you can do with the cameras because you're right. The part that's missing from this video is, okay, if I let this thing in my house, how do I control it? Like, how is it walk? What's the mechanism that's making it walk where it walks and do these things? Is it a joystick? Is it a voice? It's probably a joystick. Or in this case, this was probably a, pre-programmed routine through a very complicated software.
Sure.
Not super cool yet, but, and then there's cameras on the front. So it's like, also, how does it see? How does it,
Sure.
how does it analyze the world around it? And you can get some clues from ChatGPT about because all these robots use ChatGPT basically. And their video, the cameras are using the ChatGPT API that allows you to do like a video chat. So if you're a premium member of ChatGPT, you can essentially FaceTime or start a live video where ChatGPT can see, your front-facing camera or your rear-facing camera. And we're at the very infant stages of it, but you can ask it like, okay, hey, what is this? What am I looking at right here? And it'll be like, oh, it's a glasses case, Okay, if I open this, you could ask it sees the environment in real time. It's still very rudimentary. But yeah, I think all jokes aside, it's funny you can make a million jokes about these things. And I think there are some serious concerns. But I am like I'm pro robot. I think that we need these if they can provide care, especially for people who are older, aging, there's already a massive shortage of care providers for the elderly, emergency situations, like having these things run into like burning fires, forest fires, maybe in California where there's tons. There's so many amazing advantages. Like it's so easy to just think, oh, we're going to turn into the Will Smith iRobot movie. And like, these things are going to kill us all. I'm not worried about that at all. They're not, I don't think.
Think about how effective something like that could be on something like removing landmines or working on environmental disasters. I mean, places that people can't go, but where you could dispatch something that that you can control completely, but that doesn't have to be necessarily safe.
Anything repetitive, anything manufacturing, like the automotive industry, or even like Jim Smith, one of our Rotarians, has a machine shop. Anything in there could be done by a robot. Even home building, for instance, because home building is moving indoors, where you manufacture panels and so forth indoors out of the elements. You don't have snow outs or rain outs or quality control issues. And, a robot would be way better than a laborer.
Yeah.
They don't need a cigarette break. They don't need a lunch break. They
Sure.
don't come to work with a hangover. Uh, Anything repetitive, I can see a real benefit. But for everyday chores around the house, they're not repetitive enough to see a. I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to be that lazy.
Hmm.
Yeah, no,
Interesting,
and,
Stu.
and the biggest thing that I've heard a couple people talk about, it's not my strong suit. I'm not a financial guy, but the impact of robots as a product on like a company, like basically we're in this race right now. So whoever can be the country that figures out the best robot, just like we made the iPhone, we made Facebook, we made Ford, we made the car. Whoever can be the first to make, whichever country can be the first to make like the really good robot, I mean, that's huge, 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 huge money. That would probably be like massive boost to the GDP. I don't know the terms that I should be using to describe it, but it seems like it would just be a massive industry that whoever gets there first is going to dominate. Like it seems kind of with most of these, I don't know. Of course, other companies will have it. So, for example, Unitree, guess which company or guess which country Unitree is in?
China.
Germany, China.
China. And China's supposedly leading the robotics race. I think it's too early to tell. But the reporting that I've read seems to indicate that China's
Well, your premise assumes that you got to be the first out of the gate, but the gate's already been broken down. I mean, my wife had her hip replaced, and the surgeon used a robot. I don't know what robotic hip replacement means, but she had two little incisions that had telemetry, and then it could zero. I don't, but they call it robot. So all of these robots exist. It's just I don't know. I think you're just thinking of a humanoid one.
Yeah, but like imagine if we're really speculating, but like if you take let's say Elon is correct, in 3 years, most American households are going to have a humanoid robot in their home. Somebody's going to make those, and there's going to probably be the best one. Or there's going to be the piece, the chip that makes the best one,
Right.
and there's going to be a winner. Just like there is you could make the case that Apple was maybe the winner of the smartphone. Now, of course, there's Samsung and Motorola. There's a bunch of other ones that are not like US based, but Apple kind of won. They became the name associated with the best phone. I would be surprised if something like that doesn't happen with like humanoid robots, whatever form they
Sure.
take.
Sure.
So
And Apple turned into being the biggest company on the planet.
it might be in.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
say that again.
It's the biggest company in the world.
Apple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
number one.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yes. Well,
thought it
you
was,
take the
I thought it
stock
was,
price,
I thought it was
the valuation that Wall Street gives it is a greater value than any other company.
bigger than Saudi Aramco.
Oh God,
Oh yeah.
Really? Way bigger.
by multiples.
Oh wow.
It,
Yeah.
it-
So
it's multiple trillions of dollars, Matt. From the iPhone.
yeah. Are you going by market cap? Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saudi Aramco.
Stocks fluctuate, so it's either number one or number two, but it's usually number one.
Yeah. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Saudi Aramco. Wow. Yeah, so I
Biggest
mean, I think
company
this
in
is
the
gonna
world.
be one of those races where it's gonna be really important to win. And if you win this one, you might be able to win a lot more after it. We'll probably see yeah.
3.5 trillion. Aramco's only 1.8 trillion. So 2.5 times bigger. Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, yeah, it makes these other companies look sort of.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's a big race. We'll see. We shall see. So that's Unitree's robot, 16 grand.
cool.
You yeah, just to give you some perspective, the previous model that they made, so this is like their new one, it was an H1 humanoid robot, debuted at $150,000. This one's 16, so it's like 90% cheaper. They developed this in 6 months. Battery life is about 2 hours. It weighs 35 kilograms, which is how much?
75 pence.
And it can withstand several punches from that guy in the video. That was funny. That was kind of a funny. I don't know what that was. He was
The
like,
guy in the guy in the video obviously had issues. I mean,
yeah,
it's just
stop.
something there.
Dexter.
You know, Matt, my first flat screen TV was $5,000, and my latest flat screen TV was $400.
Yeah.
And does about 10 times more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can imagine these things, they don't need to be like metal, they can be plastic, they can be super cheap with
Yeah, carbon fiber.
3D printed joints. You could buy the premium one, that's gonna last longer and it's made of better carbon fiber materials or something. But yeah, it's yeah, the company claims to hold over 60% of the global market share in quadruped robots, which are those dog ones. That's what they're famous for. This company, Unitree, is famous for their quadruped robots. GO2 and B2 industrial. They're designed to compete with the Boston Dynamics famous Spot robot model. Wow. So Spot, Spot, which was the quadruped robot made by Boston Dynamics, went on sale in 2020 for $74,000. And Unitree's Go2, which is their equivalent, it starts at $1,600. So it's this company is somebody to watch. Like, it just seems like they are innovating at a rapid pace. So that's that. I feel like we could just talk about robots forever because it's just kind of cool. They seem like they can solve all of our problems, but they probably won't. And they'll probably make a lot more other problems that we have. But I think overall, no doubt, I am pro robot.
Right.
And yeah.
So we're going to get to the point where it's going to be your robot called my robot a bad name.
Yeah, exactly. Or
my robot's bigger than
here's an interesting philosophical question. Robots playing sports. So maybe we all have our own robot, right? And like there's like a basketball competition for robots. Do you think we would like to watch robots playing basketball?
Of course, that's a version of a video game. Of
I don't
course.
think we would. I don't think we watch basketball for basketball. I think we watch basketball to watch humans. I think sports are like more of a human observing experience. Like, I don't think we're interested in basketball itself, if that makes sense. I think we're interested in humans that play basketball. Like, You
I
disagree?
I would love to agree with you, but I picture rooms full of gamers who are manipulating their individual basketball player in competitions. And I think you're going to see a ton of gamers who get involved just like that.
But then if so, yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good counterpoint. Bunch of if there was gamers controlling it, that
Right.
would be interesting. But then you're also interested in the gamer more than the. So think of it as if it was an autonomous robot, no control. I don't think that would be that interesting. I think you would watch it. I don't think you would have diehard robot fans for their entire lives like you do with like sports fans. Because I think inherently we're attracted to
A player.
whatever, the human unknown, the creativity, the challenge, the relatability maybe that we can be like, wow, I could never do that, or maybe I could do that. But that would be my
I'm
counterpoint.
just featuring, instead of having a blown out ACL, you've got a disconnected probe, or you have a swimmer who blows a circuit, or
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so that's that. Let's see, I got one other story. We talked a lot about, I feel like I don't even know if I want to talk about this, but there's been a huge increase in online scams, which if you follow like tech newspapers like I do, there's always an increase in scams. There's always some huge data breach that has, and there's always some new strategy. There's always some new technique, smishing. Smishing was the new word we talked about last week. I found this Wall Street Journal article that's talking about pig. What do they call it?
Pig roasting. Is that right?
Pig butchering.
Pig butchering. Thank you.
Like these names are just getting outrageous. Pig butchering online scams are proliferating. Here's why they work so well. I'm convinced that like these cybersecurity stories, like they're literally always the same. It's like you could take out the format, like, do you or let's read this one. Do you get unsolicited text messages from people you don't know? We all have. Be forewarned. So it always starts like that. It's always like, has this like really common thing that happens to everybody every day happened to you? Yes.
Be careful.
Oh, be careful. You might lose your entire life savings and everybody you love. It's so yeah. So this says, do you get unsolicited text messages from people you don't know? Be forewarned. If you respond, you could be falling for a particularly dangerous online scam that has found victims around the world. Some unfortunate individuals have lost millions of dollars. Now that's real. And it is unbelievable how many people are losing huge amounts of money to scams. And it's getting way worse. There's a whole, I've considered myself starting like a YouTube channel there's so many people that are famous on YouTube that are just calling scammers and like basically like wasting their time and trying to track them and like kind of chase them down. They're called like scam busters or something. It's kind of like a subgenre of entertainment because it's very entertaining to watch somebody like get back at these people that we all get pested by every day. So I think I might do something like that because a lot of times I call back or I'll text back to like the scam numbers that text me. Just to kind of, I don't know what it is. I get tempted by like the darkness or something. But yeah, so they're calling this pig butchering, where victims are, quote, fattened up and made to trust the scammer and think that they are making tons of money, and then they are mercilessly taken sometimes for everything they have. And basically what happens is a really long article, but to summarize it, these scammers will get you to call them somehow, and then they get you to screen share or screen bunch of different ways they can do it. But one example would be you get a text that says, Best Buy, thank you for your purchase, $999. If you didn't make this purchase, call us at this number. So you call the number and they're like, oh, sorry, sir. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Can you just please give me like the last 4 digits of the credit card you used to make the purchase so I can confirm that we're refunding the money to the right place? And so you'll do it. But then they'll be like, oh, wait, hold on, sir. There's actually, there's a little bit more issues. Can you confirm on this website that this is your information? So they get you to go onto the computer. And then before you know it, they're on your computer screen sharing. And they'll get you to even like open up a bank account sometimes. And if they can if they can get you to open up your bank account on the screen, and you won't even know that they're watching you. They'll be like, hey, just check, make sure the money, they'll go open up your online banking, make sure that the money has been redeposited so that we can confirm that the transaction has been completed. And while you're on the screen, unknowingly to you, they're like editing your bank account to say that it has like $100,000 more. So they'll just it's a very simple like trick. Well, they'll just literally change the text on your screen because it's a website, and there's tricky little ways that you can just modify a website based on like the code that it's not actually doing anything. It's just changing the appearance. And so they'll see how much money you have in your account. Maybe there's $50,000 in your checking account. And then they'll say, oh, we owed you $250. Did that $250 get in there? And it'll say 25,000. You'll get 25,000 extra. And they'll be like, oh, wait, hold on. Oh my gosh, sir, I'm so sorry. I added an extra zero onto I was supposed to give $250. I put 3 zeros extra. I just gave you $25,000. Oh my gosh. My boss is going to kill me. I have 4 kids. This is crazy. I'm never going to be able to, I'm going to get fired. My wife's going to go hungry. Like, please. And then, so they're playing on like the nice person being like, no, hey, don't worry. I'll send it back right now. Okay, well, should I just reverse it back on the Chase app? And they'll say, no, don't do that because, we can't take money from a personal, checking account. The only way I can not get fired is if you like send me Bitcoin or something, they'll have a bunch of different ways that you can send it. But essentially they get you to send them $25,000 thinking that you're repaying the $25,000, but really you're giving them $25,000 of your own money. And it's terrible. And it happens to a lot of people. And there's a lot of documented YouTube videos of how this happens. And so that's pig butchering. And it's kind of a negative, but how do you stop it? You just got to be really careful. Trust your gut. Never click on anything. It's always the same advice. Never click on anything. Never trust anybody really that calls you. Maybe not even, it's like, I don't know. And with AI and stuff too, it's like, you might not even be able to trust like voices and stuff in the future, which is tough, which is going to make it really sad because you can make AI voice, you can make people sound like anything, and they can talk through them. You could almost use like an AI puppet. If they had a voicemail from my dad, they could probably make a program that speaks like my dad that they can be typing into in real time. Now you could probably tell it's not so good that you wouldn't be able to tell, but if you're an older person, if you have hearing issues, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And so it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think I'm going to try to do something about this. I've been very inspired by the scam baiting community on YouTube. I watch this one guy. He goes live every single day and he just calls scammers and he just has people send in scams, send in emails that are obviously scams, and he just calls the numbers and it's like a comedy show, but it's also, he's doing a good thing because he's like he's tracking down the companies in real time and he's suing them, and like he's got a whole world.
Is that Doc Compton?
Yeah. And he does a really good job. So maybe I'll get in touch with him or something. I want to help him because there's not enough guys, there's like 10 of them, but imagine if there was like 1,000, you know, and it was like all people just fighting back at these scammers because, you know, people will get $300,000, you know, they'll call a senior citizen who has $300,000 in their checking account and they'll take out 299,000, you know.
Yeah.
They'll get them to send 299,000. It's like that, you might as well, it's like killing somebody, you know, basically. So
But
very
Matt,
sad.
1,000's not going to help. I mean, you look at the population of India, and most of these calls I get are from India or Pakistan. That's the accent I detect. And, you know, they must sit there and make hundreds of phone calls a day and get hundreds of hangups. But then they just keep going.
Yeah, it's a
Because
complete process.
they may
Wow.
not have another job opportunity. And so you get millions of these guys with their algorithm probably dialing the phone for them, just waiting for somebody stupid like me to say hello. And then you hear a long pause, and then somebody says, hello?
Yep.
And I'm thinking, you're the one who called me. I'm the one who's supposed to say hello. And so then I hang up. But a lot of times now the caller ID actually has a name associated with it. So you think Mary Smith is really calling you. You know, and in my industry, I don't know everybody who calls me. And so many times I answer.
I'm going to share, I'm not going to play this video, but this is an hour-long video.
Is that Doc Compton?
This is Doc Compton, yeah. And it's an hour-long video of him talking on the phone with a scammer, with an Indian scammer who he paid money basically to just like talk to him. Like he was like, hey, I know what you're, you know, I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You know, I know what you're doing. You know who I am. Because a lot of these guys like end up knowing who he is. And it's an hour and a half of this Indian scammer who like details exactly what they do at their company. And it's a full-on company. And it's very simple. And he has examples. And he's like, this is what we do. I'm working for a guy. We have a company that generates 1,000 of those spam emails, those like fake Best Buy emails or something, Geek Squad. We send out 30,000 of them a day. You know, I get 50 calls a day. Maybe one or two of them is like an actual one that's a live call. Of the two, maybe one is somebody that's actually worth scamming. They have their own kind of vetting process. But this is like if you want to, I don't know, it's an emotional, it's just like it's so sad, but it's also incredibly informative journalism. And anyways, I'll put the link to this in there in the chat if you're curious, if you want to have an hour, like if you want to go on a walk and just listen to like how bad it can get. I mean, because this is like you hear this guy talk and you can instantly identify what's happening because it happens to all of us. Like these guys call all of us all the time. You know, we all get these emails, and it's just like if you're having a bad day, if you're an older person or even a younger person and you're not really paying attention or you're grieving or you're for whatever reason just kind of not in your right mind, they'll take you for everything you have. And this guy has like, it's funny to hear him. It's very much a confession because at the end he's like telling them like, you know, do you ever feel bad about this? You know, like, do you're ruining people's lives? And he's like, yeah, I actually do feel really bad. He's like, and I know I'm going to hell and I wish I could stop, but like, you know, I can't. I've gotten into this luxurious lifestyle and I buy all these cars and, you know, and it's just like, it's like a full-on gang member, but like just in India, you know, working at yeah, and it's totally corrupt. He's talking about like all the politicians are in on it, so there's no real way they can be prosecuted. But
How are the politicians in on? Or are you talking about the Indian politicians?
The Indian politicians.
Oh, okay.
'Cause he was like, I can't leave. There was also, he was also had something where it's like, he can't leave. His boss is like, kind of like a tough guy boss. And who knows if any of it's true, but pretty heartbreaking. So anyways, that's all I have. Oh, the last update is, Elon released his new XAI, released their second model. And the internet has been on fire because so XAI is like Elon's equivalent to ChatGPT. And it's been it's not really like in the top names of AI, but with this new release, they have really made some headways because they basically made their image generator unfiltered, not like sexually unfiltered, but politically. Like you can kind of make you can use a person, you can tell it to make a person and it will make a person, Trump, Kamala. Here's an example of one of the images. Like, for example, you could never do this in Chat GPT because of their
Restrictions.
restrictions or guidelines. It just wouldn't let you make something like this. But so it's obviously kind of set the internet on fire because some people are like, this is awesome, like we can have uncensored AI, and then other people are like, this is so dangerous. But it's really kind of putting XAI, so Grok is the name of it. XAI is Grok 2. Kind of putting them on the map, and will be something to look for, because we are in an election, and I haven't seen that much AI stuff, but there is a lot of it going around. Oh, actually, this is the video I was going to show. This is the last thing I'll show. This is the only like AI disinformation that I could, I guess, consider seeing. And this is from Elon. So Elon's an outspoken Trump supporter, but he posted this a few weeks ago. And it's clearly a satire. Like it's like a campaign ad for Kamala that's meant to be like mean, kind of like an SNL or like SNL type skit. And everybody.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember.
Now, I'm not trying to start a political conversation. I just want to give an example of like, that sounds real, right? And that looks good. And like I show this just so if you see this circulating around on your Facebook or something like this on your Facebook news feeds, just take a second look at everything you see. Cause like it's one of those things where Elon is posting this, he's clearly saying this is amazing, like this is satire. But like if you put that up on Facebook, I don't know, there'd be a significant percentage of the population that would not know that that's satire. That's my guess, especially if you posted it out of context or something, or you posted it in the right forum or at the right time or like in the right comment section or something. So that's where we are with AI. I haven't seen as much AI interference as they kind of were warning us about, but we still got a lot of time left. So we'll see.
Hey, Matt, just FYI, that link you have in the chat takes me to a site that says it's restricted.
Oh, really?
When I try to open it, it says you're trying to open a restricted site. Remove the restriction or something like that.
Huh.
So I must have a version of YouTube that doesn't.
Just search this. Just search Doc Comp. Just go to YouTube and search Doc Compton scammer confession.
Okay.
That'll be easier. If you're interested in watching.
Good.
It's a good watch.
Is
Very
it
good watch.
Brian and I got to see a really it's a fun movie. It's a comedy about being scammed called Thelma. That's from the perspective of a 93-year-old woman who gets scammed and what she does about it. If you have a chance, the actress is
Wait,
Jane
what's
is
it
June
called?
Squibb, Thelma, Thelma. And uh, June Squibb is the actress. She did her own stunts. She's 93. It's really adorable. It's a fun feature movie.
Oh, yeah, I gotta
Yep.
check that. Thanks for
You'll
sharing.
like it. You'll like it.
I need some positive. I like all the news that I've been reading. I mean, news is always negative, but like technology news is sometimes hopeful. Like a lot of times it's like, oh, there's this new thing that's gonna cure this or change this. But recently all my tech news has been kind of down in
Sure.
the dump. So I could use a feel good movie tech
It's a,
thing.
it's a fun one. It's good.
Cool.
We both enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for coming by. That's all I got for you guys.
Absolutely. Say hi to
And
Meryl for us.
Will do. And I'll be back next week, same time, same place, if you want to come discuss the latest news. Thank you. And have
That's
a
good.
nice one. See you,
You
Brian.
too. Take
Thanks,
care.
Matt.